Let's look at our podcast feature this week, and this was a fun one. It's probably not going to appeal to everybody. If you're a homeschool parent, I think this podcast would be good for you. I really do. This took me back to when I was homeschooling my kids. The podcast is called Raising Canes, and it's raising, just spelled like raising, but then the word canes is Kanes. I'm from the Northeast. I did not realize that there is a restaurant called Raising Canes, so when you're searching for this, good luck. I'll link it in the podcast notes, but I don't even know how I came across this. Probably on Instagram. I was probably scrolling. But what drew me in was I saw an ad for this podcast, and it was their episode 17 was called Remembering Nintendo. And the ad kind of showed that he was going to go through the history of Nintendo and the Sega Wars and all that with his children. And I thought that'd be fun to listen to on a long run. And I actually listened to this on that 8-mile run I've been talking about this whole episode. And I'll be honest, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. There was not a whole lot of new information to me from this. It was fun to see his kids kind of be introduced to the history of the gaming that they're now involved with today. You know, the kids were just so excited about the Nintendo Switch that he couldn't get a word in edgewise. Every time he asked them a question, like, hey, do you know what came next? And they're like, the Switch. So this episode did not really capture me, but it's a fun, if you're not familiar with the history of Nintendo, or your kids aren't, great episode, fun episode. Then, because I was so cold, I didn't want to change to music, and I didn't want to switch podcasts. I didn't want to do anything, so I just left my phone alone. I'm doing this because I keep my phone in my back, in my belt, which I keep on my back. The podcast, Spotify rotated back to episode 1 on the American Revolution, and I immediately got roped in. And it was clear to me that, kind of like I'm doing right now, that they took the podcast too long. The episode went way longer than they had planned. There's some great moments where, I don't know how old this guy's kids are, but you can hear them yawning in the episode like he's getting boring. And it's neat that he did not remove that. It's just so refreshing, and it's so real. But man, in light of the things that have been going on lately, this is a really good episode on liberty, the American Revolution, Boston Tea Party, Declaration of Independence. There's a really neat, I highly encourage you, if you don't even listen to this podcast regularly from this point forward, I highly encourage you to just go listen to episode 1 on the American Revolution, Raising Canes, Kanes. He has his son read the Declaration of Independence. It's right around the 16-minute mark. I'll tell you, I happened to be reading this just after I heard about the shooting, and I was like, I'm listening to him read it, and I'm just thinking to myself, it was pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy when you think about what we fought for in the Revolution, the American Revolution, and what's happening right now in our country. It's pretty wild to just hear that document read, unfiltered, really without bias, from a child. And it was really cool. I don't think he reads the whole thing. I think he just reads a part of it. But they put some decent music, Revolutionary War music to it. It's a really good podcast. But again, if you're a homeschool parent, it kind of seemed like he was using the podcast as a medium to teach his kids, which is kind of cool. But you could also teach your kids with this podcast. So if you're a homeschool parent doing American Revolution stuff, or I didn't scroll through all of his episodes. He's got 18 now. I think another one came out since I listened to the Nintendo one. But if you're teaching your kids history, they could listen to this you could listen to it together and really enjoy that educational process. And the kids could relate to the kids. And as a parent, you might understand where your kids are coming from and what their perspective on it is. So I thought it was really cool. So check that out, Raising Canes.
No quit, no quit, no quit. Building their wall, building their wall. While they talk about us, all they talk about us. Educated, experienced, still not credible. So we embraced it. Now we're uncredible.